Hello and welcome to part 2D of the Project C.A.RS tuning guide. In this video I will cover what I consider to be the basic suspension adjustments in Project C.A.R.S. These are ride height and sway bar. The ride height can be adjusted individually at each corner of the car. Unless you are oval racing, the left and right ride heights should remain the same. Having different left and right ride heights will change how the car feels during left and right cornering, thus giving an unpredictable car. Generally, the lower the ride height, the better, as there will be less weight transfer during cornering, braking and acceleration. This is due to the spring travel being shortened. The shortened spring travel will mean the car body will move less when loads are applied. Thus the tyre loading won't differ as much and the car will be more predictable. Going too low, however, will cause the car to bottom out. When a car bottoms out, the car body is in contact with the road. This causes a sudden loss of control if it occurs during the cornering. If the front bottoms out, you will get understeer and the car will feel like you are driving on ice. If the rear bottoms out, you will end up in the gravel or exit the corner facing in the wrong direction. Having the front ride height higher will cause the car to understeer. This is as the weight transfer will be felt more by the front axle than the rear axle. Raising the front ride height also stalls the front aerodynamics. If the front aerodynamics stall, then less downforce is being generated than what should be being generated. Raising the rear ride height will make the car oversteer more, as the rear of the car will have a larger weight transfer than the front. Raising the rear ride height can also increase rear grip during medium and high speed corners, as the rear wing will be more exposed, allowing for a cleaner airflow to generate downforce. This cleaner airflow generates more downforce than turbulent flow. Raising the rear ride height too far, however, will stall the rear aerodynamics of the car and you will feel a sudden loss of rear grip. This is as the air getting to the diffuser becomes turbulent and the diffuser will stall. Ride height will affect all areas of a corner. Set the front ride height as low as possible, so just before the car bottoms out. Then, set the rear ride height to your preference. It will normally be higher than the front, but how high depends on how much you like the rear to slide. Ride heights will be higher at tracks like Laguna Seca than at Hockenheim. Sway bars, or anti-roll bars, increase the spring stiffness during cornering. As the weight begins to transfer, the sway bar will twist, thus increasing the spring rate of the axle. The increase in spring rate means more force is required to deflect the suspension. Sway bars only act during cornering and have no effect on straight line driving. Sway bars act along the axle, so can only be changed front and rear. The softer the sway bar, the more predictable the car will be. This is as spring rates will not change as much, thus you have a car that feels the same for every corner. Soft sway bars, however, have the effect of creating more body roll than stiffer sway bars. The more body roll, the more likely the car will bottom out during cornering. A soft sway bar and a low ride height do not mix well. Stiffer sway bars make the car more darty, as you do not need to wait for the car body to settle or move from left to right before changing direction. A darty car is useful at tracks such as Monaco, but will not be good at tracks like Silverstone. Sway bars affect all areas of the corner. If the front sway bar is stiffer than the rear, the car will understeer. This is as during cornering there will be less weight transfer, so the contact patch will be smaller than if there was a greater weight transfer. You will want to increase the front sway bar stiffness as far as possible, however, as the reduction in car body roll makes the car more predictable. If the rear sway bar is stiffer, the car will oversteer, as the rear contact patch won't grow as much during cornering, so the rear will have less grip. You will want to reduce the rear sway bar if it feels as though the rear of the car is trying to overtake the front. Sway bars can be adjusted on the fly in project cars, and you can map this to buttons to increase or decrease the sway bar. I would advise you do this, as some corners the sway bars may be too stiff and you will get understeer. Other corners the car body will excessively roll, and this should be prevented for predictable handling. Sway bars are one of the more complex basic adjustments I will cover. Spend some time on track and play around with it to see how the car handling changes. Thank you for watching part 2D of the Project C.A.RS tuning guide. Please leave a like if you found the video useful, and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. If you have any feedback, then please leave a comment down below.